unprecedented comments made by a CEO are bringing up the debate, how much should business and politics mix? Maple Leaf Foods has been dominating headlines after CEO Michael McCain tweeted about the Iran plane crash, blaming it on U.S. President Donald Trump. Joining me now is marketing expert Robin Whalen, president and CEO of Church and State. Robin, thank you for coming in. This is an important conversation to have. Let's read part of the thread. So it says, an MLF colleague of mine lost his wife and family this week to a needless, irresponsible series of events in Iran. U.S. government leaders, unconstrained by checks/balances, concocted an ill-conceived plan to divert focus from political foes. What is your stance? What is your take? Is taking a political stance like this good or bad for business?
It's a good question. It's a loaded one.
Yeah.
Typically speaking, we would advise our clients to stay away from conversations that are of a political or religious nature. And that's really just because your job as a brand on social media is to deliver content that is valuable to your consumers. So unless those topics are at the root of your brand DNA, we would say stay away. That said, when you look at the stock price of Maple Leaf was down a point yesterday. There was boycott Maple Leaf Foods was trending for a bit, and there was a lot of dialogue. But when I dug in myself, the conversation was split, half and half. Some people were saying this wasn't his right to do this on a corporate account, and other people were applauding him for taking a stance. So I think it's unprecedented times. And desperate times require desperate measures. Personally, I applaud his conviction.
But increasingly, we're hearing the conversation about the evolution of capitalism into sort of this notion of social capitalism, where companies need to be doing not just what's good for the bottom line, but what's good socially. So maybe this is an evolution of that as well, an evolution of the role of the CEO, not just as an advocate for shareholders, but an advocate for what they believe is social good.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know more and more that consumers want to align themselves with brands that have a stance and a position, talking more about purpose than talking about product. So for sure, I think that's the case. And he obviously made a very methodical decision to use the corporate account versus his personal account to share his views.
Let's drill down a bit. What do you think he was likely thinking in making those choices?
Well, first thing, I think he was thinking that he was going to use the Maple Leaf account for its reach and influence versus his personal account. Typically, comments of that nature would come on a personal account. Obviously, he wanted to be heard, and I think he was motivated by grief and frustration and a sense of injustice.
Now, we should point out, in 2008, Maple Leaf Foods is in the press after an outbreak of listeria was linked to some of their products, and it resulted in 22 deaths. At the time, the company responded very quickly. They were very visible in the media. We asked the CEO to come on the show today, and the company said, quote, rather than do an interview, Michael would prefer to let the message in his tweets speak for themselves. We felt the tragedy warranted his response. We hope you understand. So in one case, very out there in front of the cameras. In this case, just wants to let the tweets speak for themselves. Why that disconnect?
I actually don't see it as a disconnect. I think the tweets do speak for themselves. And if there was any regret or a change in direction in terms of maybe we shouldn't have done that, the tweets would have been removed. Yeah. You see brands do that all the time. Tweets come up, tweets come down. The tweets are still there this morning. Yeah. So I think that it doesn't need further discourse. He said his piece. He wanted to be heard, and he took a really bold stance. So I think it's a brave decision.
Just a few seconds left. Long term, does this alter the DNA of the company? Does the company now have in its mission, because of this, moving forward, that they must speak on social issues of import?
I don't think so, but I think it opens the door to perhaps have a position in very specific areas of value to the brand. But no, and I don't think this will have a long-term impact. Next week, there'll be another crisis on a global stage that people will be listening to. For now, Mr. McCain has made his opinion well known, and personally, I think it's good for the brand.
Yeah, he's made it known, and most of Canada knows it.
That's right.
Robin Whalen, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.